Life Audio.
Welcome to the Crosswalk Devotional. We're glad to have you listening with us. Today's topic is how to discover more about God's goodness through food. We'll return with the devotional after a brief message from our sponsors.
Hey friend, do you ever feel like the busyness of life makes it hard to slow down and truly connect with Jesus? Do your priorities and passions feel jumbled and out of whack? Then join me this summer on my podcast, How to Study the Bible, as we dive into Spiritual Rhythms, a 6-week series that will lead us through 6 spiritual rhythms to help us slow down and make space for Jesus in the busyness of everyday life. To guide us, I've put together a free downloadable 6-week study available at NicoleEunice.com/spiritual practices. The study will walk us through God's Word as we learn to embrace daily practices that draw us closer to Jesus. Each week on the podcast, we'll walk through one spiritual rhythm that helps us discover how to spend intentional time with God, align our passions and balance our priorities, and make time and space for restfulness and celebration. Download Spiritual Rhythms for free today at NicoleEunice.com/spiritual practices, and I'll see you on How to Study the Bible.
The Historical Jesus Podcast is the sweeping saga of the life and times of Galilean Jesus of Nazareth, as well as the faith, religion, and church founded to honor and disseminate his acts and teachings. Join me, Mark Vinette, on this fascinating journey through time, exploring the many great works of Christian theology, literature, architecture, music, and art inspired by the words and deeds of Jesus Christ.
Taste God's Goodness, written and read by Whitney Hopler. Taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the one who takes refuge in him. Psalm 34:8 NIV. Vegetable broth bubbled in multiple pots as the girls in my daughter's Girl Scout troop cooked a stew together. The stew featured an outlandish variety of vegetables, a fresh version of every item the girls wanted to contribute. Potatoes, onions, carrots, zucchini, celery, plum tomatoes, cabbage, squash, mushrooms, red peppers, spinach, green beans, lentil beans, peas, and corn. We seasoned the stew with even more ingredients: chopped garlic cloves, parsley, salt, and pepper. There was such a riot of food in this stew that the girls joked the concoction would probably taste like nothing, with all the different flavors covering each other. Once we tasted the meal, however, the result was just the opposite. Each flavor complemented the others. Every bite of the wonderful stew brought many layers of delight to our taste buds. The girls, who were earning nutrition badges through that activity, tasted how delicious healthy eating can be. "Wow," one girl exclaimed, "God is so creative." God has created a huge variety and abundance of food for us to grow, prepare, and eat however we like. Thanks to that, we can and should enjoy our food. Our taste buds remind us that every eating experience can open a door to wonder in our lives. Psalm 34:8 NIV encourages us to taste and see that the Lord is good. When we enjoy our food as a gift from God, we can discover and appreciate God's goodness more. Ecclesiastes 9:7 NIV exhorts us to go eat your food with gladness and drink your wine with a joyful heart, for God has already approved what you do. Psalm 135:25 NIV connects God's generous provision of food with his love, pointing out, he gives food to every creature. His love endures forever. We often acknowledge God's goodness at mealtimes when we say a grace prayer over our food to express our gratitude for it. But we can taste God's goodness even more by exploring diverse kinds of food and savoring them all as good gifts from God. Here are a few ways to do so. Each time you buy groceries, buy a kind of food you've never tasted before. Whenever you discover a type of food you like, buy more and share it with your family. Eat out at different types of ethnic restaurants. Learn about various cultures around the world by eating their cuisine. Cook some new recipes regularly to enjoy for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The physical nourishment that God gives us through food reminds us of His goodness and encourages us to trust Him more. As Jesus declares in John 6:35 NIV, "I am the bread of life. Whoever comes to me will never go hungry, and whoever believes in me will never be thirsty." Intersecting faith and life. As you reflect on discovering God's goodness through food, consider these questions. How does it feel to know that God has created such a diverse and plentiful array of food for our nourishment and enjoyment? Make time to eat a meal slowly, and as you savor your food, think about these questions. What are the flavors and textures that you're experiencing? Where did the ingredients in your meal come from? And how were they grown or prepared? Who was involved in bringing this meal to your table, from the farmers to the cook who prepared it? What are some of your favorite foods and why? How can you plan to savor those foods the next time you eat them, so you can cultivate a deeper sense of gratitude for God's goodness in your life? Do you say a grace prayer at meals? If so, how does that help you center your attention on God's goodness as you eat? What is one recipe for a meal that you would like to try cooking soon? Which restaurant in your area would you like to try for the first time? How might you share God's provision of food with others who may not have access to the same abundance or variety? Further reading. Matthew 6:11. Psalm 78:24. 1 Corinthians 10:31. Acts 27:35. Isaiah 55:2.
The Crosswalk Devotional is a production of Life Audio and Salem Media. If you liked what you heard today, please take a second to rate and review this podcast in your favorite podcast app so that more listeners like you can find the show. For more faith-filled, inspirational podcasts, visit us at lifeaudio.com.
Hey everybody, I'm Dale.
And I'm Tamara.
And we're hosts of the Kainos Project podcast,
where we help you tackle ancient Christian truths in everyday settings.
The word kainos means new, and that's exactly what we want to do on our podcast. Bring something new from what is old in our faith.
And on this show, you might hear us explore topics like what the Bible has to say about student loan forgiveness, discuss how the Satanic Temple affects our view of religious liberty in America, or even question why is it that so many people are having rapture anxiety.
To learn more about the podcast, go to lifeaudio.com.